Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Record Rangers podcast. My name's Gavin Berry, and once again I'm delighted to say I'm joined by the Daily Record's Andy Newport and Sunday Mail chief football writer Scott McDermott. We'll pick over the bones of the opening day Scottish Premiership defeat to Kilmarnock, 1-0. Michael Beale's men went down. The first time Rangers have lost an opening top-flight fixture in a quarter of a century as the new guys got a harsh introduction to Scottish football. They'll be looking to bounce back against Servette in the first leg of the Champions League third round qualifier. And I'm delighted to say this week that we're also joined by a very special guest, Daniel, I hope I'm going to pronounce this correctly, Daniel Visentini. Is that right, Daniel?
Yeah, that's right.
And Daniel, you've covered Servette for around 30 years for the Tribune de Genève. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it. It's a long time. I'm an old man.
Yeah. And you haven't seen them play in the Champions League group stage, am I correct in saying that?
What?
You haven't watched them play in the Champions League group stage, have you?
Yes, of course. Against Genk, you mean?
No, I'm saying, have you watched Servette in the Champions League group stage before?
No, it never happens.
No. Will it happen this year?
Maybe. That's the big hope for Servette and all the people in Geneva, of course.
Yeah. I mean, we watched we were following the game against Genk, down to 10 men, real spirit, character, to get the draw, to take it to penalties and then win on penalty kicks. How much has that done for the confidence of the team going into this game?
Yeah, a lot, because we knew that team was strong mentally. I mean, and all the players shown that on the field in Genk, because after 3 minutes, Crivelli was sent off with a red card, and maybe it create a specific way to make a very compact team, and the success was two times when Genk scored the first goal and then the second goal. Servette, even at 10 against 11, succeed to come back in the game, and that shows that Servette is very strong mentally.
Yeah, and when you talk to the manager and the players in the interviews since Saturday, are they aware of the result, the Rangers result, losing to Kilmarnock, and how much of a bad result it was for Rangers?
For sure, they know that the Rangers lost against Kilmarnock, but there's not. It's not a point of view for the trainer or for the players, because they are sure everybody is aware that Rangers is a big step, maybe more high than Genk. So even if Rangers didn't start well this season against Kilmarnock, everybody is very aware that it will be so hard for Servette on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll let Andy and Scott come in, but just before they ask you a question, we were speaking this morning off camera just about the injury and the personnel situation. We counted 7 players that they are missing, 7 players, 6 through injury, and Crivelli suspended. Can you just tell us the list of players and how much of an impact that will have on the team?
The first one is that Servette will play without their captain. I mean, Jeremy Frick, the goalkeeper, is very important in the group, and he will miss because he was injured against Genk. Servette find a good solution because of the injuries of Stevanovic, one of the main player of the team. And was finding a good solution with Antunes, but Antunes was still injured against Genk. So it's 2 big losses for Servette, and of course behind on the right back, we have discovered this season Tsunemoto, a Japanese player coming from Kashima Antlers, and he was starting well with Servette, but 2 weeks ago he injured also himself, and the backup of Tsunemoto, Theo Magnan, a young player from the club, is also injured. So they have to play on the right back with a central defender, and it will be Nicolas Vouillot. It means that Servette has has to make with all that problems, and that's why it's really difficult, especially without Crivelli forwards, because the strikers is got a red cards against Genk. So there are many problems to fix for the trainer René Weiler.
Okay.
Daniel, when I read about Servette and when I watched the highlights of the Genk game, it is clear that they have so much spirit. You know, they work so hard. They have so much resilience. Do you think that is this team's best quality? And where does it come from? Does it come from the coach? Is it the players? Or is it even history from where this club has been to where they are now?
That confidence comes from last season and last seasons, I can say, because Servette is back in the Super League. I mean, the first division since 4 years, and they works very well. And the group, I mean, all the players together got the habit to play together. They changed a little bit the way to play with the new trainer, because they reached the second place of the championship last season, and they changed the trainer in spite of that success. And the new trainer, René Weiler, wants to play more vertical, with a lot of verticality. I mean, going very quick forwards to touch the strikers. Before, Servette was playing 4-2-3-1, and now Servette is playing every time this season 4-4-2, and that brings a Servette who is playing more quickly to go forwards, and that's why sometimes they can create even when there are 10 solutions, and that was the way we can saw it against Genk. Servette has a lot of resilience because of the past, and new tools now with the new trainer to have many things to do going forwards more quickly.
Dan, can I just ask, when teams come to Ibrox, the fans here are famous for putting on a big show and, you know, putting on an intimidating atmosphere. How do you think Servette will cope with that? Do they have any similar atmospheres that they will experience domestically in Switzerland? And can you tell us a bit about the atmosphere that the Servette fans will put on for Rangers when they go there next week?
It will be hard, because Servette got not the habit to play for that crowd. I mean, it's a big pressure on the shoulders of the players and of the trainer. But as I can say, Servette has nothing to lose. Of course, Servette is the underdog in that kind of game, and they have already touched what they wanted to touch. I mean, the qualification, at least for the group phase from the Europa League. So they will play free of charge, cool, and everything is possible, I guess. I don't know. It will be very hard, I mean, in terms of pressure, because Rangers are very strong physically, tactically also. So Servette can make a response to that, but if they can put Rangers in a kind of doubt when they play well since the beginning of the game, there will be maybe a possibility to have a chance on the second legs.
Will this be Servette's 6th game of the season? Is it fair to say that they are up and running? That they are, you know, they have played 4 or 5 games already this season, and they are into their stride now?
They played 3 games in championships and 2 games against Genk. So they have a little bit time to create automatism between the player and the new system of play wanted by the coach. But they have to manage also with all the injuries, so it's difficult.
You have said they are missing some players, Daniel, but which players will Rangers have to be aware of? Which players will cause Rangers the biggest problems, do you think? The biggest threat?
If I will be the Rangers, okay, it's a secret. I give it to you. I will take care. I will take care to Timothée Cognac. He's playing
French midfielder, yeah.
A French midfield, and he's the guy who inspired the team. I mean, he can go forwards with the ball in the feet, and he can make the differences between the lines. He is really the playmaker of that team.
Servette had a player that we are familiar with here in Scotland last year, Moritz Bauer. I believe he's left the club now, but do you know if the coach or if MD at the club has spoken with Bauer to see if he has any advice about what it's like going to Ibrox, what it's like facing Rangers?
I mean, Moritz Bauer?
Yes.
Yeah, it was not a success. I mean, he came in Geneva, but he was way off the quality he has shown in the past. So Servette tried to put him on the field sometimes, but it was also always not successful. To be fair.
Did you know if they've spoken with him to see for advice on going to Ibrox and handling the atmosphere? I think he got a famous result with Celtic when he was there.
I'm not sure they spoke with him, but they have many other players like Kevin Mbabu, who was a younger player from the academy of Servette, and he played many years ago, 6 months, I guess, in Rangers. So I'm sure they had a little phone call with him. Myself, I will call this afternoon Cedric Itten, who was playing 2 years for Rangers, and he will say he will give the advices also for Servette.
Would he know some of the Servette players?
What?
Would he know some of the Servette players? Is there a lot of players in the Servette team that he will have played with before for the national team or a club?
Yeah, during the championships, he knows the players, of course.
Yeah, all of them.
Daniel, if Servette were to beat Rangers and qualify for the playoff round, how big a result would that be for Servette in terms of their history? Would it be one of their biggest ever results?
It will be an earthquake for Servette, like something like that. You know, when Servette beat Genk in the second legs, I mean 10 against 11, it was such a performance that the day after, I mean, the club opened the tickets, and in less than 48 hours, all the tickets were taken by the fans, and that's the first time that it goes so quickly, and that the stade will be completely full in such a short time. That means that it's not normal for Servette. I mean, that kind of success and of enthusiasm around the club. It shows that something is happened in Geneva, and they want to build on that to develop the club.
Daniel, I suppose in terms of a Rangers point of view, the biggest encounter with a Swiss team in recent memory would be Zurich Grasshopper in 1996, and Grasshoppers won at home 3-0. That was a big shock for Scotland. I'm just thinking, can you tell us about how that result, how it went through Swiss football? Was it an earthquake, as you say, back then? And has this game got potential to be of a similar shock for Swiss football?
Yes, for sure, because especially for Servette, I mean, Servette had many troubles during all the 21st century, because at the beginning of this century, on 2005, Servette goes to bankruptcy, and they started 3 level back from the first division, and they had to rebuild the club years after years, and it didn't go well because in 2012 and then in 2015, Servette was closed both of times to again a bankruptcy. And since 2015, there is a new owner from the club. It is called Fondation 1890, and this foundation is an emanation from from Rolex. Rolex put money in Servette to save the club from bankruptcy in 2015, and since that time, Servette tried to go better. I mean, financially and with more stability on around the club. And 4 years after that saving, the club went back in the Super League, I mean in the first division, and since that time they worked very well to reach 2 times Europa Cup, I mean Conference League, and last season they finished second, so they earned the way to play against Genk in Q2 Champions League, and that's why if Servette can reach playoff and with the biggest dreams I can imagine, reach the group phase of Champions League, it will be. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, you mentioned Timothy Cognac earlier. From I think he was signed from Lyon, but he was only playing for the second team, and he was only maybe 60,000 euros. And this summer they signed Bradley Mazuko. Mazuko, is that correct? £350,000. But when I was looking at the squad last week, they have not spent a lot of money on this squad. When you compare it to Rangers, Rangers is worth about £40 million. Have you looked at the comparison?
Yeah, there's a world between Servette and Rangers on that spot. I mean, Servette, and even if I say that, it's the first time that Servette can buy some transfers for a new player. I mean, like Mazikou, like Guimeno coming from Saint-Gall, a club from Switzerland. That's the first time since many years that Servette is capable now to buy players. Otherwise, they had to find solution without any transfer to pay. And it was free transfers. So it's a completely new for Servette, and it shows that Servette wants to grow up. I mean, and that's a good start. I mean, to qualify for at least the European League phase group.
Okay, so the players are very cheap, but the beer is very dear in Geneva, and Andrew is going out next week to cover the game for the Daily Record. So can you meet him and find him cheap beer?
For sure, I swear it.
This is the real reason we invited you on today, because Andrew needs somebody to show him around and get him some cheap beer.
I can show him many places.
Do I need to take out a bank loan? Just how much are we talking? I'm sure all the listeners who are heading over to Geneva want to know what will you pay for a beer in Geneva?
It's about €5 the big beer.
Oh, this is tremendous news. This is tremendous news.
We will taste many different beer.
Oh, I look forward to it. Brilliant.
Great. Thank you, Daniel, very much for joining us and for that insight into Servette. Enjoy the game. Enjoy both games.
Thank you. I hope my English was not too ugly.
It was perfect.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye. So, guys, that was a good insight into Servette. What do you think? I mean, let's reflect on the Kilmarnock game first of all. Shock result, not the start that Michael Beale wanted to get off to with so many new players. And as you said before, when we spoke ahead of the game, Scott, I mean, you were saying Celtic will probably win in the afternoon. Okay, they weren't so convincing, but, you know, almost saying defeat is unthinkable. We know it's only one game, but they're playing catch-up already. Looking ahead to this game tomorrow, I mean, how much pressure is now on? And listening to Daniel there, how much will Servette be trying to play into that?
Well, there's big pressure on Michael Beale and the players already. And if he didn't know that a defeat at Kilmarnock would bring that on, then that's a big worry for every Rangers fan, because it should have been patently clear. I mean, you mentioned the Celtic result there and the performance. I mean, that almost would have made it even more frustrating, is the fact that you're right. I mean, Celtic didn't play well and won 4-2, but was at the Celtic game, there was signs there that Brendan Rodgers obviously going to change the way they play. There might be an opportunity there for Rangers when it comes down to these Old Firm games. But I mean, Rangers' performance at Rugby Park, Andy was there. I mean, it was just, it was dire. I mean, it really was. And I think I've said to you kind of off camera, I mean, for me, the biggest disappointment about that Rangers result and performance was just the predictability of it. I think that's the most damning indictment, because I think people on the outside, any doubters, any kind of critics, would have had a vision in their head of how that Kilmarnock game might go. Opening day, late kick-off, AstroTurf, new team. It was up to Michael Beale and the players to make sure that didn't happen, to defy those kind of doubters and really put on a performance, really lay a marker down. And the fact that they produced such an inept performance, energyless, as I say, so predictable, it's a real worry. And listen, Michael Beale, it concerned me slightly after the Hoffenheim friendly. That was when I put it to Michael Beale after the game that although he was building a new team, and of course there might be teething problems, a defeat at Rugby Park or dropping points was unthinkable. He had to go there and win. But his response was, well, leagues aren't lost on the first day. And of course he's right, but I just don't know if that attitude and that mentality is what Rangers fans want to hear on the eve of a new season when excitement was building, and anything less than a title win will be acceptable. So that worried me. His pre-match comments about his team worried me in terms of leaving Cantwell and Danilo out. This kind of idea he had that the game would open up the later it went on and he'd be able to introduce his better players. I think most Rangers fans would rather have just played these better players and tried to win the game in the first 20 minutes, half an hour, rather than have to wait an hour, 70 minutes. And then it's desperation stage. He's trying to throw players on. We watched, listen, Kelly make it difficult for you. And I know Derek McInnes has improved his squad over the summer, but I mean, Celtic and Postecoglou's Celtic went to Rugby Park last season. I think they were 4-0 up after about 16 minutes. I mean, you just need to go for the jugular in games like that and try and win it early. Rangers did the opposite. They were defensive, cautious, sat back, passed Kelly to death without making their keeper produce a save. It really was everything that your worst fears might be. And as I say, to me, that was the biggest disappointment. The predictability of how that game went and what Rangers' performance was like is a major worry, because there is guys there, including Beale, who knew exactly what the game was going to be like. They have been there in that movie for 5-6 years now, and yet still couldn't do anything about it. And I think that's a major concern going forward, first day of the season or not.
That's the thing, Andy. There's always a huge reaction, an overreaction when it's you're dealing with the Old Firm and these results. But I mean, if the unthinkable did happen against Servette, and I see people saying, well, if Michael Beale lost to Servette, went out and lost the first Old Firm game of the season, and they're 6 points behind in the league, there's pressure on. I mean, is that ridiculous given how long he's been in the job, or is that reality?
It's simply the reality of life at the Old Firm. I mean, Gio Van Bronckhorst took Rangers to a European final and won a Scottish Cup, and within 4 months was out the door. So that's simply what happens at the Old Firm when you don't win games. I agree with Scott. I mean, you spoke earlier on about Gavin, about it being a shock result, but I agree with Scott. It was predictable on the basis that not so much the result, but certainly the performance was predictable, because there was no sign at any point in pre-season that this team is near clicking. At no point during pre-season did you see patterns of play, signs of fluidity, signs of the players being on the same wavelength. And again, you can understand it. As much as Michael Beale's did well to get a lot of the players in the door early, the main focus this pre-season is about getting new attacking force in. And you think about Dessers and then obviously Danilo coming in fairly late in pre-season. It's hard to think that those guys are going to be able to sort of get in tune with the rest of their new teammates very quickly. But just, I mean, I tend to agree with Scott. I mean, I think there are worrying signs. I mean, the Cantwell thing, I just thought was odd as well, in the sense that it sounded to me like Michael Beale was saying, we're going to go here and react to what Kilmarnock are going to do. It's going to be a tough scrap. It's going to be a battle. We need guys that are going to be up for that. And I don't think that's what Rangers fans want to hear from the manager. I think, Scott spoke about Celtic. Celtic take the game away from teams like Kilmarnock by just taking the ball away from them. And what Rangers did was, we're going to go meet Kilmarnock at their game. And I'm not sure that that's what Rangers fans want to see from their side. So, yeah, I think I agree. I mean, you're right. It's only one game in. And, listen, if he gets through Servette, if they go and, get a result against Celtic the first day and it's all back to even Steven, then, this game is quickly forgotten about. But what it does is it removes the wiggle room that Michael Beale's got very early on. And, these are tough scenarios, and especially when the team's not playing well. It'd be different, if they lose the first game, but they've battered Kilmarnock and they've created 30, 40 chances, and you can say, well, listen, it's just a bad day at the office. But it's the fact that the performance was so off, that so many individuals look so off. And, yeah, of course, there's plenty of time for them to come back round. But as I say, given the outlay that they put in this season, I think most fans would be expecting to see at least signs that the team was heading in the right direction, but there was very little of that, and I think that's where the concern for the supporters will be.
Andy's right, Gav, in terms of the style, because, I mean, Ange Postecoglou 2 years ago had a very similar situation that Michael Beale's in now, trying to rebuild a team, making 9, 10, 11 signings. You could argue Michael Beale actually is better off than Ange, because Beale has been here since November. Mm-hmm. So, but Ange had a similar situation. He comes in, Celtic have got a completely different team, go to Tynecastle the first day of the season, which is a difficult game, and lose. And Celtic fans were worried, people on the outside thinking Ange is a dud, it's going to take time to rebuild this team. But I'll tell you what, that game at Tynecastle, even though Celtic lost, you could see how Celtic were going to play. You could see clear signs of their shape, their system, their style, link up. Of course, there was faults in the team, and of course, players had to gel. But you saw signs. I've not really seen any of that in pre-season for this new look Rangers team, and it certainly wasn't evident at the weekend. And even, as I say, being at the Celtic game on Saturday, and of course, Brendan Rodgers has a huge advantage in terms of he's got a team that won a treble last season, and he's gone in and he's tinkered with it slightly. But again, Rodgers has completely changed the way they play compared to Postecoglou, and it was clear, even for guys like us in the press box, who aren't coaches or whatever, clear watching that very first league game on Saturday from Celtic, how Rodgers has changed the style, how it's going to look going forward. You saw individual players, Kyogo being the prime example, on how Rodgers is now tailoring his game to play in a completely different way to what he did under Ange. So you see things clearly. As Andy touched on there, we've yet to see it under Beale over pre-season and then in the first game.
I think that goes back to last season, because even spells last season where, as much as they were winning games, but a lot of the times it was a grind. In terms of patterns of play, in terms of a style, you're struggling to see where this team's going, and especially because he's changed system, he's changed players. Obviously, in this season it's even harder to get a grasp on it, because you're looking and you're going, there's no real width in the team, so they're not going to play the same sort of style that they did. Say even under Gerrard, when Mick Beale was, such a huge contributing factor to the way that the team played at that time. It looks like there's as much as they played at times with sort of those narrow number 10s, this seems like a departure from that, the way that they're setting up at the moment. It doesn't seem like he's just copying, or he's going with a tried and trusted game plan that worked for him last time. It seems like he's moved away from that, this sort of narrow, whether it's a box or a diamond midfield. I mean, with Sakala going, with Scott Wright potentially going, Ryan Kent's gone. There's no real players that give you that width left in the squad anymore. So it's now relying on either two 31-year-old fullbacks who, I think with the best one in the world, you say that they've probably already peaked in terms of the Rangers' career. And Borna Barisic really hasn't played with any consistently high level for 2 years now. James Tavernier, I just think it's unrealistic to think that he's going to continue posting the kind of numbers he has done. It's just, every player reaches their peak, and then there has to be a decline at some point at 31. Listen, if he proves me wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. But I don't think Tavernier has played with the same, consistency that he has done previously. So again, you're just looking, going, these are who Rangers are relying on for their width. And as I say, the style over the last 6 months is to, basically try and go through the middle a lot more. And again, it just seems to be a lot of grind. They seem to, they scrap their way to victories, really putting on a show. And then you think last season what really hurt them was the fact that the times where they did create chances, a lot of the times they didn't take them. But they didn't even create that many chances. I think that'll be the real concern. You think about the game at the weekend, how many gilt-edged chances did they create? How many times did they test Will Dennis and goals? I mean, I can think of a Desser's strike in the first half. Kieran Dowell comes close with a couple of chances early in the second half. But apart from that, there was nothing that would really overly worry Kilmarnock. And I think that's got to be the big thing that concerns Michael Beale, is that you've got to come on the opening day of the season and you don't really test the goalkeeper. I mean, that's what I think will worry him the most.
That's what I was going to say. If you're going to play narrow, you're going to play that way, as you've just described, you're then relying on guys to be, creative, to have real guile about them in and around the box, intricate passes to unlock defences. So you're relying on guys like Dowell and Lammers and even Raskin and people like that. So that's to unlock tight defences and teams that sit in. Well, Saturday was a perfect example of that. And as you say, none of them could do it. Now, I know it's the first game, and of course they're still getting to know each other. But to go to Rugby Park, as you say, opening day, when there's so much expectation, so much hype, and produce that kind of performance where, as you say, you don't even force their keeper into one meaningful save. It's just no good enough. And by the way, they're going to face a similar, even though it's at Ibrox on Saturday. If we skip the Servette game, Livingston going to Ibrox on Saturday, we'll pack that defence and sit in. We know exactly how they're going to play. And again, as you've described, Andy, there'll be no width to the team. There'll be no Kent. There'll be no Sakala, guys that would have normally played against Livingston. So you'll rely on playing through them, as I say, intricate passes, 1-2s in the edge of the box, getting shots off, all the things they didn't do against Kilmarnock. So time will tell whether they can put that right. But of course, they've got Wednesday to navigate first.
Yeah. Great. Okay, guys. Well, listen, thanks a lot for your time. We'll check out the game Wednesday night and Saturday and see if there's any clearer view of this plan and identity that might come together, or whether we'll be going over the same old ground next week. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, Gav.
Bye.